Welcome back. Today I want to just make a very quick video briefly touching on the stock here. We saw Palantir for the first time since back in 2020 fall below its DPO price of $10 this morning. It was down even below $9.50 all the way to about $9.40 or so in the morning. And as we saw the markets open this morning around 9:30 a.m., of course, we saw a sharp rebound. My personal take on this was that there was of course a lot of pre-market trading, and I think many traders sort of got flushed out in anticipation of a much larger sell-off for today, and that ended up actually being a reversal. So when you think about it, the selling off for the event of tragically what has happened with Ukraine and Russia, personally, in my opinion, there was a sell-off. There was a response to that in the markets. That happened, and now we're getting a bit of a rebound. The question, of course, is will the rebound actually hold? Will it continue? No idea, absolutely no idea. But we saw Palantir bounce about a quarter of its entire stock price off of the low of $9.40 or so, up to almost $12 again, about a 25% intraday increase there, now giving it back a bit in after hours, but very strong performance from Palantir. We saw the whole market up today. Now, some people are wondering, should Palantir be, rising because of this, uncertainty with defense and all of that? And personally, I think, if you think about it in those terms, definitely should be. But of course, Palantir being a high growth company, tech growth, getting weighed down by the whole market, I wouldn't be too surprised if Palantir doesn't get a lot of recognition on the defense side, especially since we know the company is progressing mainly on the commercial side as it stands right now, at least the growth in that perspective. So at least good to see Palantir recovering just a bit. Again, these are not prices I'm happy to see, but as a long-term investor, really doesn't matter that much if the thesis is correct that Palantir is going to be the company that we all hope it will be in the future. So it remains to be proven on that. I wanted to touch on another talking point of this whole idea of gold and Palantir. Back in August, I reported on this. I actually heard from David Glazer, who told me in the first place after the call, because I wasn't sure that Palantir didn't publicize this himself, but after you dig into the filings, you see that Palantir actually bought gold, stockpiling literal physical gold bars. This was back in August of last year after the Q3 earnings report. And we saw they were preparing for another, quote, black swan event. And what does that mean? Well, I think there's a real misunderstanding with what a black swan event means. Now, the meaning of a black swan event, the black swan theory, is that this is a metaphor that describes an event that comes as a surprise. So in its own definition, this cannot be something that can be predicted. So is this whole Russia-Ukraine thing a black swan event? I am not an expert in what you categorize a black swan event as, but I would say that no, Palantir did not predict this immediate event and the rise in gold from it, as you'll see here. But they were, as they say so often, hedging and trying to be as strong as they can in uncertainty so that they can deliver their products and platforms to those who need it most, which is now on the government and defense side right now, and businesses that actually need the support and need the infrastructure digitally and the software that they come to rely on. So Palantir with the gold bars, whether it was them thinking about, destabilization, as they talk about so much, that Karp has mentioned a lot, they really are having to prepare themselves for world events like these, where if their SPAC prices are collapsing and the markets are down, they actually have this hedge, if you will. So if we just look, it was a little earlier, or a little more than 6 months ago, but if we look back at August around here, 16th or 17th, we'll see gold has increased about 6%. You're not looking for a huge increase in gold. And again, they have these in physical gold bars, but what does that mean? Well, actually, if you look year to date, we've got an increase of 5%. But really, let's just look at the Qs here. On the Qs, you'll see year to date, we're actually down 15%. So the delta there between being up versus being down 15% is huge. So Palantir has obviously done well with this $50.7 million investment. But then again, I want to draw your attention to this because people are saying, oh, Palantir predicted this. Palantir is benefiting from this with their gold. Their gold investment is not very much compared to their SPACs. Their SPACs are in the hundreds of millions of dollars, a cumulative basis, and the gold is at 51 million. So it's not like their gold is outweighing their SPAC losses. I just want to make sure that's clear as far as I understand it. But again, great to see that there is a bit of a hedge in place so that if Palantir were to, and the world really were to fall into, I don't even want to say it, but Palantir does have that hedge. It is performing as you would expect, right? And yeah, definitely something good to have, and it's really just a sign of the times with that. So we'll see what happens with the stock going forward. Again, sliding a little bit after hours, but not a bad performance, not a bad recovery. And I would just caution everyone, this is not a 100% clear indication of a bottoming for anything. You have to see a clear proof of a reversal. That's what everyone is saying that I'm listening to, and I truly believe that. You don't want to try and time the market. You can DCA, you can do whatever you want, that's up to you, but this very well could not be the bottom. However, Palantir is showing a lot of strength, a lot of buying power after being below $10 for the first time in this whipsaw session for the entire market after the events that unfolded last night. So that's where I'll leave it for now. Palantir, whether they predicted it or not, I'm guessing they did not explicitly predict it because they had mentioned black swan events and being prepared to deal with uncertainty globally especially. We've seen their gold investment actually increase from August to now, a pretty decent single-digit return, but their SPAC investments, which are not meant to be a cash equivalent sort of deal, have actually offset that gain. So just wanted to leave it there for now. Very strong performance out of Palantir today, not something you could have potentially predicted even after hearing the events of last night. I think the market had priced in a bit too much and now has recovered. Not sure if it'll stay that way. Thoughts and prayers go out to all of those affected by the whole situation. All right, I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time.